my name's Cordy. In this video I wanted to talk about why I think probably the Kemper might go down as one of the more misunderstood pieces of gear in modelling history, and I think there's some real missed opportunities for folks who might have a Kemper, myself included. You know, we're sort of 10 years into the life of the Kemper now, and even now I think there's still so much of it which is left unexplored, so I just wanted to talk about some of that and ideas. And I think some of it's a bit of a shame. I think by now most people are used to the idea of what it was that the Kemper was presented as doing. Certainly on YouTube, the main kind of party trick was that you could sort of capture, profile your tube amplifier, and it would be pretty convincing in the room, especially if you're going through the same cab. And that was sort of the party trick, was that for a lot of people and in a lot of cases you could get a pretty accurate kind of model of your amplifier or whatever, and it would convince you enough that you think, okay, that can trick me. Kind of the Rob Chappers thing. Oftentimes they wouldn't really pick out the Kemper particularly well, and that was replicated. For a lot of people that seemed to be kind of where the Kemper began and ended. And even now, you know, across the world, pros probably are still using their Kempers, and a lot of people use paid profiles, and that's completely fine. I think there are all sorts of profilers out there, like Tone Junkie, HW at Tone Junkie. You got Brit, he's doing stuff. You know, there's the guy, is it Figursky, making Dumble profiles, or Matfig. You know, there's loads of people out there making useful profiles, I think, for people like us to use if we're not, you know, blessed with studios and Neve preamps and all this sort of stuff, and, you know, expensive tube amps as well. So this is just a profile that I made this morning. And did literally zero tweaking with, and that was of my Fractal Audio FM3. And this is kind of what I think is part of the cool thing with the Kemper. You can very quickly kind of put together your own little library of a few tones of yours that you really like from other modelers if you've got them. But not only that, here's the thing which I think is super unexplored. So if we go into the amplifier, one of the things that I think Kemper did, which almost no other companies have really made a go of, is kind of putting these terms, you know, so you might have these sorts of settings in other devices, but they're not given names which necessarily mean a whole lot. So things like definition doesn't necessarily mean much in the audio world, but for us as guitarists, could think of that maybe as presence or something, but it's an effort to put words on these phenomenons for these sounds. And, you know, pick, for instance, I think this is going to be like the pick, the amount of pick noise that you get. So, you know, you get, like, people call this stuff chirp, or you might call them transients or something. But I think to just call that term pick is actually a really guitarist friendly way to refer to that parameter. Compressor, I think compressor is well enough understood. Things like clarity, you know, that's not a musical term particularly, but I think that's, again, a useful thing where you can say, right, what does clarity do? I mean, clear a tone. So, you know, clarity, you can hear. If I was trying to achieve that sort of thing with an EQ, I may be losing some kind of low-end woofiness, and I'm also bringing in some kind of highs. But you know, to just have a knob which is doing a generic function, but that we can sort of listen to clearly, and it's doing this important thing in terms of tone shaping. And this thing which we can then kind of just listen to, and now, you know, clarity and definition are not, they're kind of terms which are Kemper specific, but they're doing jobs which are very much something that, you know, a producer or a person who's very au fait with EQ might be able to achieve. But in the Kemper, it's made super easy because you've just got these simple terms and a knob which kind of has a range. And this was also replicated in the kind of the new Kemper drive. So if we go in here, the things that they added, so we've got drive and tone, so those are very much generic, but things like definition here and slim down, you know, these terms which are kind of quite descriptive for a control which is doing a lot of different things, if that makes sense. You know, so to me that was creating like a mid-emphasis when you had it all the way up. So I think that's a really underexplored element of the Kemper, and I think something that other modelers, I think this is something that we're going to see possibly in the future, where terms for things, because people are still finding concepts within guitar modelers quite complex. You know, do many of us really understand EQ? I know I don't. I've tried to sort of get a little bit more understanding, but the people that do understand what are these kind of classic moves that you want to do, they can kind of put these things into one knob and you can then adjust along that. And I think this is something we might see. You know, someone says, I want more kind of pick within my sound, or more chirp, more pick chirp. You can turn up that pick within the amplifier settings. Anyway, that's just one of those kind of underexplored things about the Kemper, which I think we might see more of. I'll put this profile in my Kemper folder if you guys want me to. Just let me know in the comments. So that's the little profile that I put together this morning. Quite a nice kind of tone that responds really well. Actually, here's another perfect example. In that intro I was using this reverb, the formant reverb. So we got things like mix, attack time, decay time, modulation, understood, formant mix, formant vowel, this sort of stuff. You know, like in the presets here, you then get, they've put these kind of settings, you know, wide R, ooh, quiet, E, you know, things that you don't see too much of on any other device. So that, for me, then very quickly, I go, right, I'm wanting a reverb with this kind of choiry, vowely sound, and I go, okay, well, I don't know exactly how I would achieve an ooh, but I can just go in here and go E, alright, it's moving from E to and that I don't think has been done in any other modeler, and I think it's quite powerful way to think about kind of guitar tone and shaping from our point of view if we're not kind of experts. Kemper have done more to make things simple than any other modeling company. I just don't think anyone really uses it, or not many people use it. Let me know in the comments if you do, or if you can think of why I'm totally wrong about this. I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers.